And yet every moon cycle ended the same way. She owed the clay merchant, she owed the firewood seller, she owed the woman who sold glazed pigments from the hills. Debt wrapped around her life like vine around a dying tree. She could not understand it. She would buy clay in bulk whenever the merchant offered a lower price, 10 baskets instead of 3, because the rate was better. A passing trader had colors she hadn't seen before. Turmeric gold, lotus pink, riverstone gray, beautiful, rare. She just moved, fast, anxious, reactive, always feeling like she was running out of something she couldn't name. Then there was Devi. Devi was 53, a basket weaver who worked under a banyan tree at the western edge of the market. She wove reed baskets, simple, sturdy, undecorated, and she wove slowly. That was the first thing anyone noticed about Devi. Not lazy, not careless, just unhurried in a way that made restless people deeply uncomfortable. She wove maybe 8 baskets a day where others wove 15. She sold them at the same price as everyone else. She earned roughly what Aruna earned, perhaps even less, because baskets were cheaper than pots, and yet Devi never owed anyone. Devi never rushed to a merchant begging for reeds on credit. Devi's workshop was simple but clean, organized, calm. Something Aruna had never managed to accumulate in her entire life. Aruna noticed Devi the way you notice a stone in a river. It's always there, you just never really look at it. Until one monsoon evening, when the market closed early because of flooding, and Aruna sat on the stone steps near the rising water, soaked, exhausted, trembling. Her latest batch of 40 pots, fired too quickly with cheap glaze, had cracked. 27 of them ruined. Weeks of work gone. She sat there with rain streaming down her face and could not tell if she was crying. Walking calmly with a single reed umbrella, she sat beside Aruna without asking permission and said quietly, "You are always moving, but you never arrive anywhere." Aruna stared at her. Not anger exactly, but the sharp sting of a truth arriving before she was ready to hold it. Devi reached into her bag and pulled out a single reed, thin, pale, flexible, and held it up. "I weave with 1 reed at a time," she said. "I don't gather 100 reeds hoping to weave faster. I take one, feel its grain, place it where it belongs, and then I take the next." You grab fistfuls and wonder why the basket falls apart. Aruna opened her mouth to argue, to defend herself, to explain that the world demanded speed, demanded more, demanded everything she had, and then asked for what she didn't have. But Devi raised her hand gently. "Before you answer, tell me something honestly. When you sit at your wheel each morning, before you touch the clay, do you know exactly how many pots you need to make that day and for whom?" Silence. She didn't. She never did. She just made as many as she could, as fast as she could, hoping quantity would save her. 4 simple things. Same read, same market, same town, same earnings, but everything changes. "Will you come to my workshop tomorrow at dawn?" She walked home that night through flooded streets, and for the first time she did not plan tomorrow's work in her head, did not count pots, did not calculate debts. Aruna sat on the packed earth floor and watched. For a long time, she watched. Devi's hands reached for 1 reed, placed it, reached for the next, placed it. Before starting that morning's work, Devi had laid out exactly the reeds she needed on a cloth, counted, measured, separated by thickness. Nothing extra, nothing just in case. When Aruna finally asked why, Devi set down her half-finished basket and said, "This is the first thing. Before I touch a single reed, I sit the night before, and I ask myself what baskets have been requested, what sizes, how many, and I gather only that much material from the river, only what I truly need for tomorrow's work. I write it on a strip of bark." Aruna felt the sting immediately. Because she never did this, she just hauled clay endlessly, made whatever came to mind, hoped someone would buy it. Cheap clay that wasted her firewood, her time, her kiln space. "The third thing," Devi said, her voice dropping softer, "I never trade on promise." She meant credit. the ancient system where merchants let you take materials now and pay after your goods sold. When I hand over real coins, I feel each one leave, and that small ache keeps me honest with myself, but when I promise to pay later, the weight disappears, and I take more than I should, because the pain is invisible. Aruna's stomach tightened because her entire workshop ran on promises. Clay on credit, firewood on credit, pigments on credit, and every moon cycle the merchants came collecting, and she scrambled and bargained and sometimes hid. The fourth thing, Devi said, lifting a finished basket, I don't chase beauty that no one asked for. My baskets are plain. But the rice farmers who buy baskets don't need beauty, they need strength, and my plain reeds from the common marsh hold weight exactly as well as her dyed ones from the hills. She knew what Devi's teaching pointed toward: sell what was usable at honest prices, return or discard what was not, pay off every merchant she owed. Start tomorrow, you can walk outside right now, you can decide. And if she confessed the full depth of her debt, he might cut her off entirely, and without a clay supplier in Vaishali, she had no craft, no income, no identity. And it also meant destroying the 90 cracked pots. Pots she had poured weeks into, pots that carried her fingerprints, her sweat, her hope, because keeping them was keeping the illusion that effort alone justified itself. Devi had warned her of this moment. She had said, the hardest truth is not that you have been wasteful. The hardest truth is that your waste came from love. Love of your craft, love of beauty, love of the feeling of being enough. And she knew she had lost something that would take years to rebuild. She carried the cracked pots to the river in 7 trips and let the water take them. Each one that sank felt like releasing a small piece of who she thought she was. She paid 2 of the 3 merchants she owed. The story of Aruna lives inside the Buddhist understanding of tanha, the thirst that is not really about what we lack, but about the desperate grasping itself, the reaching that becomes its own addiction. And modern psychology calls this the scarcity mindset, the loop where fear of not having enough makes us accumulate blindly, which creates the very shortage we feared. Stay close, subscribe, and walk this path with me at Mind of Buddha, because wisdom is not a destination you arrive at, it is a direction you keep choosing.